U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip.
We will never give up our land in Gaza.
It's unlawful. What he proposes. People talk of ethnic cleansing. No, it's worse. It's worse. It's forced displacement.
Welcome to GVS Deep Dive with Najma Minhas. On February the 4th, 2025, United States President Donald Trump, during a joint press conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, proposed that the United States take over the Gaza Strip after the conclusion of this ongoing conflict.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site.
And he suggested that Palestinians be relocated to neighboring countries such as Egypt or Jordan to facilitate the redevelopment of Gaza into a prosperous region. This proposal has been met with an uproar of criticism and concern from the Palestinians, Arab world, and many European capitals, including London, Berlin, and Paris.
Frankly speaking, this is beyond comprehension. And I'm sure you have noticed that the Arab countries have rejected this proposal. And as far as China is concerned, we are opposed to any attempt to change the demography of the occupied territories.
We will never give up our land in Gaza, nor will we abandon our land in the West Bank.
Dying here is better. It is better than going anywhere else, because you have nothing after losing your land.
Sheer lunacy was one adjective described to his latest idea. Many view the forced displacement of Palestinians as a form of ethnic cleansing or a crime against humanity as a forcible expulsion from their homeland. Arab nations, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Jordan, have officially rejected the plan, expressing strong opposition to this forced relocation of Palestinians. Jordan's King Abdullah II is due to meet Donald Trump on the coming Monday, 11th of February, the first Arab leader to do so after his election. And he's expected to fervently decline the suggestion that more Palestinians move to his country. Critics argue that forcibly relocating Gaza's population could lead to significant humanitarian and political challenges and potentially exacerbate tensions further in the Middle East.
In the search for solutions, we must not make the problem worse. It is vital to stay true to the bedrock of international law. It is essential to avoid any form of ethnic cleansing.
And the proposal has also caused divisions within President Trump's own political base as well, with some supporters expressing discomfort over the idea of the United States taking control of foreign territory given the president's own espousal of America First ideology. And others were upset with the ethical implications of relocating an entire population. Although his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, described it as, the president made this decision with a humanitarian heart for all the people in the region. As of now, the plan remains a proposal with ongoing debates about its feasibility and potential impact on the regional stability. Now let's understand it a little bit more and think about what could potentially be the driving factors behind President Trump's plan. I hope you will subscribe to the channel and share the vlogs if you enjoy the content. President Trump must have been an exhausting child for his mother. He thrives on creating chaos. And in just 1 week since his inauguration, he's managed to upset the Danish, Greenlanders, Canadians, Mexicans, Chinese, and now with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's controversial visit to Washington, he's left the world stunned again with his latest proposition: permanently removing Palestinians from Gaza. Now, during his first meeting with a world leader since his re-election, Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who's wanted by the International Criminal Court, the ICC, for war crimes. Any ICC member state should legally arrest him if he sets foot on their soil. Yet here he was in Washington meeting Trump. At a press conference standing alongside Netanyahu, Trump declared that the United States should seize control of Gaza and permanently displace its entire Palestinian population, relocating them to Egypt and Jordan. The US will take over the Gaza Strip and we will do a job with it too, he said. We'll own it and be responsible for clearing the rubble, rebuilding it into a mecca for jobs and tourism. In a typical real estate mogul fashion, he promised to turn Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East.
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East.
And on his social media platform, Trump elaborated further, and he said they would actually have a chance to be happy, safe, and free. The United States, working with the great development teams from all over the world, would carefully build one of the greatest and most spectacular developments on earth. But beneath the veneer of a humanitarian and economic development project, Trump has cracked open a geopolitical Pandora's box. Control over Gaza has been one of the core flashpoints of the Arab-Israeli conflict for decades, and the forced relocation of its Palestinian residents echoes colonial times when Western powers redrew the region's borders with little regard for indigenous populations. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has jubilantly expressed support for Trump's plan. He described it as extraordinary. Trump was willing to think outside the box with fresh ideas, he said.
He has a different idea, and I think it's worth paying attention to this. We're talking about it. He's exploring it with his people, with his staff. I think it's something that could change history.
And sitting next to the president, he brown-nosed him and said, "You see things others refuse to see. You say things others refuse to say." The Israeli right wing was ecstatic. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir took to X to celebrate Trump's brave and historic stance, as he called it. The Israeli Defense Minister, Israeli Katz, wasted no time in instructing the military to develop a plan to facilitate Gaza residents' exit from the enclave, calling Trump's idea a bold initiative that could help establish a demilitarized, threat-free Gaza after Hamas's defeat. Meanwhile, the members of the Trump administration scrambled to walk back on these comments. Secretary of State Marco Rubio insisted that the idea was for the Palestinians to leave temporarily while Gaza was being reconstructed. And he said that Trump's position was not meant as a hostile move.
Yeah, I think there's problematic. I think American troops being involved in that area seldom works that well.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt also tried to clarify that the administration expected that Egypt, Jordan, and other countries will accept Palestinians temporarily so that we can rebuild their homes.
Particularly Egypt and Jordan to accept Palestinian refugees temporarily so that we can rebuild their home.
Trump's latest gambit has left the world questioning his true motives. Was this a calculated move to provoke outrage among the Muslim nations to get them off their backsides to do something? Or was it a signal to the Israeli far right and Trump's own support base, the Christian evangelists, that the United States is fully behind a greater Israel? Or was it simply Trump being Trump, shooting from the hip without considering the catastrophic consequences? Now, regardless, the world is now on edge. Trump wants to leave behind a legacy that defies his establishment, and he thrives on upending the status quo. His supporters argue that his unconventional approach is precisely what makes him effective. But when it comes to forcibly displacing an entire population, history has shown that such actions lead to nothing but conflict and suffering, and certainly not that Nobel Prize that Trump is desperately angling for. Trump himself has said that the non-ending conflict in the Middle East needs a fresh look at the approach. You can't keep doing the same mistake over and over again, Mr. Trump has complained in the past. Gaza is a hellhole right now. But the suggestion that he's put forward is a cynical, pragmatic proposal that any nation wanting territory should first bomb it back to the cave ages and then forcibly extricate the population, saying it's for its own good that it should move. So then what's going to stop Russia in Ukraine or India and Kashmir from doing the same thing in the future? So what thought process could possibly be behind Trump's ideas of this Riviera on the Middle East? First, there's a whole school of thought that believes that Trump's proposal is a unique one. The Australian opposition leader Peter Dutton praised Donald Trump as a big thinker in response to the United States president's call for America to take over Gaza, saying that he brought gravitas to the international affairs. I'm not sure, I've never met Mr. Peter Dutton, but I have to wonder about his word gravitas. Dutton claims that Trump's remarks should be seen as a negotiating tactic to get other countries in the Middle East to step up and help rebuild the Palestinian territory that's been devastated by Israeli bombings by threatening to take it over.
The point the President was making, which is a point all of us, I'm sure, would want to emphasise, is that we want peace in the Middle East.
Which currently they are refusing to do so. GCC countries, in particular the UAE and Saudi Arabia, are tired of being seen as having the coffers to help out whenever any need arises in the Middle East. Michael Waltz, the National Security Advisor for the President, said that the plan served to push the entire region to come up with their own solutions.
Some very bold, fresh, new ideas out on the table. I don't think should be criticized in any way. I think it's going to bring the entire region to come with their own solutions.
However, Trump's threat puts them under pressure to stand up and be counted, in essence. The first threat to them, in this particular case, is that it would crush the hopes and the aspirations of the Palestinian people if Trump kicked them out. And they would not only see a backlash from the Palestinians themselves, but would also face a similar backlash from the Arab populations across the world. Their leaders cannot allow any such thing to happen. But the other real potential also threat exists to Arab leaders is from this so-called Riviera of the Middle East that Trump is threatening to build. This would specifically hurt the prospects of both the UAE and its glittering center of Dubai and Saudi's own proposed Neom city that Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is building. Trump's idea has further killed any hope of Saudi-Israeli normalization for the moment. In fact, straight after his conference, where he claimed that the Saudis were on his side, the Saudi Arabian Foreign Ministry put out a statement saying and clarifying that they will not consider normalization with Israel without an independent state for the Palestinians. Now, there is the speculation that Trump's proposal is a deliberate bargaining chip. So he is the quintessential deal maker, and he understands negotiation tricks. So instead of making Israel commit to a Palestinian state that it doesn't want and will not be agreeing to in the near future, he could offer to take his plans for Gaza off the table that he's just suddenly put on, and this would be part of some other plan that the Saudis would support and therefore recognize Israel, and maybe he could get the historic deal of the century that he's been angling for. Now, a whole bunch of Trump's support base was left confused because building Gaza would not only take 10 to 15 years, but would also probably take billions and billions of dollars. Something that he has promised during his campaign trail that he would not go wasting anywhere else in the world. So MAGA supporters were all over the place when this news came out, with a large majority actually criticizing the plan and wondering what had happened to Trump. The White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt clarified the very next day that the taxpayers would not be covering the cost of developing the territory. But Trump is also pleasing his Christian evangelist base here. Remember, the Messiah does not come back to give them that salvation they want until the Jews are not living in their country, the Greater Israel. Even in Israel, the idea of moving Palestinians out of Gaza has now for so long been considered too extreme to even discuss. An ultra-right political party, which was started by an American-born once again, Rabbi Meehan, espoused this idea, which was ultimately banned in the 1990s, which is that Palestinians should be moved from Gaza to allow the rebuilding of Jewish settlements there. Even Ben Itamar Gvir, the far-right Israel lawmaker, has been talking about a much milder version of Trump's own idea, which would encourage migration from Gaza and allow for the rebuilding of Jewish settlements there one by one. Post-October the 7th, several right-wing Israeli lawmakers made suggestions similar to that put forward by President Trump, and this has been used as evidence in the international law that they were advocating for ethnic cleansing. Third, maybe for Trump, who is a real estate mogul at heart, there is an element in that he really believes that Americans can make money by doing the job, as he calls, cleaning up Gaza, and then selling the properties. His envoy for the region, Steve Witkoff, is also a real estate developer billionaire who has done business in the region in the past. And Mr. Trump's son-in-law himself, Jared Kushner, is another real estate investor who worked as his advisor on the Middle East in the first administration. And last year, he talked about the incredible development opportunities that were presented by the Gaza waterfront. He suggested at the time that Israel should remove civilians while it cleans up the Strip. However, given the amounts that are required and the time to deliver, along with needing American boots on the ground for sure, this idea will not go very far, even if he seriously is considering it. So, did he shoot from the hip? Well, there's definitely an element of this, and many people think this will be like many other such ideas that will disappear over time when it becomes clear that there's no viability to this. And the best description of this is that which has been given by The Economist this week, who said, Mr. Trump appears to have plucked disparate ideas from the cauldron of the Middle East. The removal of Hamas from Gaza as demanded by Mr. Netanyahu, the eviction of Palestinians sought by his far-right allies, all dreams of turning Gaza into another Dubai, the hope of Arab petrodollars for its reconstruction, and calls for America to lead a peacekeeping force. And to all this, Mr. Trump has also added the real estate mogul zeal for redevelopment. I think they've said it all. Thank you for giving me your time today and reaching this far. Do leave me your thoughts below and share the video if you did enjoy the content. Have a great day.